Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Lord protect us. May He nourish us. May we acquire the capacity to study and understand the scriptures. May our study be brilliant, and may we not cavil at each other. Om, peace, peace, peace unto us all. Dear brothers and sisters, loving Sai Ram to all of you. Right. We welcome to the Sri Sathya Sai Baba Center of Arcadia. Now we are doing the study circle on Gita Vahini. This is the commentary written by our Swami regarding the Bhagavad Gita, the dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. So, the last few weeks prior to the short break we had, we were discussing where Swami mentioned about when Arjuna was despondent, dejected, he told him to get up, be bold and fight. Because in life, when the challenges come, a lot of us, they run away from the situation, or people get depressed, or get to drugs, alcohol, or even take their lives. So many things happen. So main thing is face the challenges. That is why Swami said, fourfold thing. Follow the master. That means Swami is there for us. Face the devil and fight to the end. So you should not give up. People get scared and give up. You should not give up and finish the game. Actually, it reminds me of a story about Swami Vivekananda. He's a great hero and he spread this message of Vedanta to the West. So when he was in a place in a city called Hyderabad, so there was some people, mischievous people, they stimulated these monkeys to chase him. So then one monkey, they were coming towards him, and then one sage, sadhu, looked at him. Hey, don't run away, because he was trying to run away, and they were coming after. Face the brute. Then he stood and firmly looked at them, and they went away. So in life, we should always try to face the challenges and not run away. So when Arjuna was trying to do, Lord Krishna gave him the message. First, what is your duty? And second is, you should face three things. Whatever work, we all do the work, everybody, whether we're a student or a lawyer, accountant, businessman, doctor, whatever it is, we are all involved in work from dawn to dusk. So how do you do the work? So three things he gave. Number one, whatever we do, the work, do it with attention to detail, perfection in action. So you should do the sincere effort to do the best. And second thing is, you should do with one-pointed attention. Don't have a scattered brain. Nowadays, in the name of multitasking, people do the 3-4 things. I've seen often in our conferences, meetings, people, they don't remember that. I said, what did we talk about? Because during that time, they'll be looking at the computer, looking at the iPhone, or talking to side conversation. So when you are involved, it is nothing. People think, oh, how do you remember that? There is nothing like a thing. So just you are absorbed in the moment. As Swami said, live in the present, focus on that. So just one-pointed attention to the work at hand. And third is, he says, whenever you do work, any work, there will be ups and downs, success and failure. Even a doctor, you operate, the patient may die. So, a lawyer, you do a case, you may lose the case. Student, you may fail the exam. Anything in life, there is always success and failure. You do the best effort, though. He said you should not, but when the results come, you should give it to dedicate it to God. It is that your will. So I did my best. So do the best and leave the rest in His hands. And finally, you should, that is the maintain the equanimity. And final point is, all actions you dedicate to God. Because when we do any action, there will be some good, some bad. Without our knowledge, sometimes we may be doing bad. Like Sri Ramakrishna said, you are putting the light there. In some places, there will be little small insect. They will come and they will die. So you may be reading a Bhagavatam or scripture. There is a good karma. But when those little insects die, that is bad. So everything is mixed. When you are walking, even doing pradakshinam around the temple, you will be stamping on some of the things. So there is nothing like a purely good, purely bad. There will be mixed. So to avoid the consequences, always, Lord, they dedicate all my actions. Those are the secret. Then he talked about how a man of steadfast wisdom behaves. So we talked about last few weeks how he is balanced, giving up desires, happy within himself and all that. Now, this is page 24 on the printed version and 17 on the online version. So we'll continue because we discussed extensively about the qualities of the Sthita Prajna. So where are the qualities of Sthita Prajna? Which chapter? Anybody? We discussed over so many weeks. Huh?
Yoga?
No, Sthita Prajna. Yeah, Sthita Prajna is Sankhya Yoga. That is chapter 2. Sankhya Yoga chapter 2, where Shloka, go back and read Shloka 54 is where Arjuna asks, how does the man of enlightened wisdom behave? And then 55 to 72, those slokas, Lord Krishna describes the various qualities. We ended with the last sloka, 72 last time, few weeks ago. The man who is established in Brahman is always in bliss, like all the rivers flow into the ocean, and ocean is always serene and doesn't get up and down. Similarly, the man of this enlightenment, man of steadfast wisdom, is content within himself. He doesn't need any external things to be happy. So, Atmanyeva Atmanatushta, that is what he says. That is the main quality of Sthita Prajna. Now, we'll continue on page 24, starting Nirupama, from Krishna continued his discourse. So, second paragraph onwards. So, you read 2 paragraphs. We can take a break for discussion. Again, continue, please.
Okay, so Krishna continued his discourse. Arjuna, think for a while who you are and what you are proposing to do. You declare you know everything, but yet you weep like a helpless woman. Your words proclaim that you are a pundit, but your acts reveal that you are as a simpleton. Hearing you, one would infer that you are a wise, liberated man, but seeing you, one would find that you are an agnani or ignoramus. Your condition is disgusting, to say the least. Well, if I take you to be a pundit, I cannot reconcile that view with your tears, for pundits do not grieve over life and death. If they grieve, they are no pundits. Pundits have the capacity to discover what is fundamentally true. Those who know the secret of the physical and the mystery of the spiritual, such alone can be called pundits. How then can they weep over either the embodied or the disembodied? They will not forego their inner calm, whatever the stress or distress. The fully ignorant and the fully wise, both will have no grief over the living or the dead. Do you weep because the bodies of Bhishma and Drona will fall, or is it because the Atma of those two will be destroyed? For the bodies, you say? Well, are tears any good? If they are, certainly People would have kept the corpses of their dead and revived them by their weeping. No, it can never be. Immerse the body in vessels of amrita, or divine nectar. It cannot come back to life. Why then weep over the inevitable, the unavoidable? Do you want me to go on, or do you want to just...
Just you can pass it, and any comments you want to make.
I was just reviewing some of the notes from the previous study circles too, and when in this particular passage, I think Lord Krishna stresses this need for just being balanced and being unwavering, especially even with everything happening around you. And that's where you can face any battle in your life, basically. And I think a lot of the wise sages always say that. I know I have a quote from Gandhi that says, every failure or success I offer at the feet of the Lord because I take it as a gift. And I think, Arjuna is sort of on that path with Lord Krishna's guidance, where he's feeling these emotional reactions, but then with Lord Krishna's guidance, and we all do that, he's learning that this is our journey, and we take the lessons from this to purify our own Atma so that we can eventually become one with the divine.
Yeah, I think that is the point. So just everything is purification of the heart. All the spiritual practices we do is for purification of heart. That's why Lord Krishna says, Chittasya Shuddhaye Karmanaha, purification of heart. Because the reason we don't see the reality, we say God is with us, around us, we are Atma. Why we can't experience? Because very simply because of the impurities. That all the spiritual, whether do bhajans, or we do the study circle, we don't go and do service activities. It is mainly to get rid of the impurities. If we cannot get rid of the impurities, however long we do bhajans, however much service we do, it won't have benefit. So I'm giving beautiful examples. Mirror is dirty. So any number of things you say mirror reflects. Unless you remove the impurities, all the dirt, you cannot see your reflection. Same thing, we are divine. Unless you remove the impurities, you cannot. And that is why the whole process is given. The singing, the bhajans, and the doing service is to get rid of the impurities. So that how do we know? With that everyone, each one of us to check it ourselves. Self-interrogation, self-audit. Mainly the desires. We still have too many desires. Second thing, anger. Do I really get upset, agitated over things which are not favorable to me? And then greed. I want to have more and more things. So just greed. It could be in anything. So just that it could be possessions, or it could be have in sense enjoyments, whatever it is. The more you want to have, that is greed, and then you get attached. Attachment, whether to the anything, family, friends, money, power, wealth, anything you get attached. That is the one. And then finally, things pride. So that is the greatest pride goeth before a fall, they say. Each one has their own kind of pride. Some people are proud because of physical strength. They are so strong physically. Nobody. Some people are proud because of their scholarship. They know Vedas, Puranas, or scriptures. They can quote them. That is also a pride of scholarship. And some people say, "Oh, I am so rich, I can buy anybody anything." So that is very dangerous. That is very common in this age of Kali. Power of money. They think with money they can do anything. And then power. That is even the most corrupt. Power is the one in even spiritual organization. The power can corrupt people. And the pride of beauty, pride of youth. So these are all so many kinds of pride. And the most dangerous pride is spiritual pride. Holier than thou attitude. I am do so much spiritual practice. I am such a holy man. I am so good. That is the most dangerous pride. It is very subtle, but it is God. Whenever we get that, God teaches us a lesson. So you should always pray, Lord, please help me get rid of all these negative qualities. Here, she was talking about Pandit, right, Nehru? So Pandit means scholar. So here you can remember, scholar in those days means person. There are 4 Vedas and then 18 Puranas and 6 Shastras. The one who knows them is called scholar because he knows all that. But Lord Krishna didn't give the definition. He gives definition of scholar in 3 places in Bhagavad Gita, and Swami also talked about it. First is we talked in the beginning itself. Asocyan anvasochastvam prajnavadanscha bhasase gatasuna gatasuncha nanusochanti panditaha. Who is a pandita scholar? Here he said that he doesn't grieve about the people who are dead or people who are living. A lot of us do both. Somebody, family, friends, and anybody passes away, you cry and we get miserable. Yeah, you need to show some sympathy, but you should know the ultimate truth. Second is we grieve about people who are living, go through the illness. So both of them, if you do that, you are not a pandita. You are not a scholar. That is important. Second thing he says, Jnanagdi dagda karmanam tamahu panditam buddhaha. Who is the pandita scholar? Here is Jnanagni. That means with the fire of wisdom, all his ignorance and karma is burnt away. That is a real scholar. He may be quoting so many scriptures, giving talks, a lot of people are there, but their behavior, they have hankering after money, wealth, sense enjoyments. We'll talk about how they are practicing. It's easier to preach than practice. And third thing is another place Lord Krishna says, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Sunichayi Vaisya Pakecha Pandita Samadarshana. Who is a Pandit? Samadarshana is equal-minded. Most of the time, the beautifully says, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, there is a great Brahmin and somebody who is eating dog's meat. I didn't know in those days they eat dogs. So I know nowadays we hear some of the people. I didn't. So he visually you think, well, that guy is a guy who eats the meat, is low class, and this man is a Brahmin, it's a clean. So you give the high regard. But this person who is a real scholar, Samadarshana, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini. Sunisha Ivasya Pakecha Panditasam. And whether he sees an elephant or little dog, it is both for him same. So that means everything, the big, small, he doesn't see the difference. Whereas we make a difference. Oh, he's the richest guy. Oh, he's a poor man. He's a very scholarly man. He's an ignorant guy. So, and he's very powerful. He's not powerful. He's an ordinary person. So we always judgment depending upon their economic status or scholarship or education. So these people don't make a judgment. Swami is the greatest example, even Sri Ramakrishna. They look through that. They look only at the Atma, which has the knowledge, is body, mind, intellect has all these things. Knowledge and wealth, health, all those things. They don't make judgment. They see the same Atma in everything. So for them, that is the real scholar. So that is the definition. He says, so they don't worry about it. So similarly, Lord Krishna is telling, don't worry about these things. This is very important. Okay, you can continue.
You might say that you are weeping for the Atma, the spiritual core. That reveals greater foolishness. Death can never even approach the Atma. It is eternal, self-evident, pure. It is evident that you have no Atma-jnana or Atmic knowledge at all. Again, for the Kshatriya, fighting is swadharma. Do your duty regardless of other considerations. You ask, how can I cause the death of Bhishma in war? but they have all come to get killed and to kill. You are not killing them in their homes. Of course, it is adharma to kill them in their homes, but on the battlefield, how can it be against dharma? I am sorry you have not got this much of viveka or wisdom. It is enough. Get up and get ready for the fray. Why slide to the ground under the weight of all this useless ego? The Lord is the cause of all, not you. There is a higher power that moves everything. Know this and bend your will to it. I think it's really important here when Lord Krishna makes this distinction between kind of this premeditated targeting somebody in their home versus you're fighting a battle. And in this situation, the battle means something more than just a war going on. It's really this, we're, learning this battle between, I think I read somewhere, it's the big I and the little I, basically, with the Bhagavad Gita. And I think it's really important to just understand the concept of dharma, that everything is really guided by the divine. And when we can listen to that, even if it seems like it might be, a little off, at the end of the day, we still have God guiding us. We still have the divine guiding us. And I think that's really important to remember.
And here we need to, this is a good point you made. Arjuna is not an ordinary man. He was a great hero. He could even fight with the demigods, win those great weapons. And the very fact Lord Krishna is teaching not to anybody else. Dharmaraja is called embodiment of dharma. He is the highest for following dharma. And Bhima is very strong. Nakula and Sahadeva. But he chose Arjuna because he was such a great hero. He had that one-pointedness. And he had complete faith in Lord Krishna's words. We heard even the other day the story how whatever Lord Krishna believed, but still he was thinking that he is the doer. So he wanted to teach him that, hey, you are not the doer. Really the doer is God. That is the whole thing he's telling. Here, Lord is the cause. This is, I underlined actually, it's important to remember. The Lord is the cause of all, not you. So we all think, a lot of time we forget, there is a higher power that moves everything. Know this and bend your will to it. So always there is a higher power. Actually, Lord Krishna tells in Gita itself, I think it is in 18th chapter, Ishvara sarvabhutanam hurdeshe arjuna tishtati. He says, Lord is there in every being, not human being only, in all being, he is there in the heart. Brahmayan sarvabhutani yantrarudhani maya. He rotates like a machine, the operator rotates the machine. Similarly, sitting in the heart of people, beings, he is making you move. Say, we are all the puppets, he is the puppeteer. So you constantly remember, he is the show, he is the running the show. So the whole thing is the magic, he is the magician who runs the whole thing. So we constantly remember, whenever anything goes, hey, even somebody else attacks us, something happens. So the Lord sitting in them is making them do. But here, he is like Arjuna. The war is between dharma and adharma. Because he didn't invite just go for fight like that. It is bad. Some people, for without any cause, they're occupying the others' lands, others' property, or for showing their power, they have done the war. That is bad. Here, Arjuna and Pandavas, they are good people. They didn't do that. They are fighting for their own property. And these people, the other side, who are adharmic, they are bad. They were trying to kill them with poison food. They try to burn their house, and they're trying to cheat them in the dice game and insult their own family lady, Draupadi. They do all kinds of bad things. Still, they tolerated. But a stage came, the Lord Krishna himself said, enough is enough. This is not the time to keep quiet. You should go against fight the adharma. In life, things happen. Forbearance means putting up with these not things. When you know all the bad things people are doing, to keep quiet is bad, Lord Krishna says. So he himself directed the war, not somebody else, to go and fight. When Krishna himself, he said, go and fight, you should not have any doubts. Whatever Lord says, that is for the good. So you need to do that. So that is why he's telling, don't have any doubt about it, that once you have to jump into that, you have to do that. That is why Lord Krishna says, even though Bhishma, he was talking about Bhishma, is one of the greatest heroes of the Mahabharata. He is called greatest bhakta. He came for a purpose. He has all the noble qualities. But only major mistake he did was he was on the side of adharma. He kept quiet. When something other not righteous things going on, he kept quiet. That's why even for us in life, something wrong things is happening, and keep quiet, you are part of that sin. So you should at least express that's not correct. What is being done is not correct. You should not keep quiet. So that is why Bhishma had to be on the bed of arrows for so many days, because he was witness to the adharma and complacency was there. Okay, so anybody else has any comments or questions? In between, you can always, if anybody else also in the thing.
It's really conflicting because, on one hand, of course, we realize that divinity moves everything and is churning inside of us. But even the acts of the people who are doing not the correct thing, it's, how do we see that as divinity moving as well?
Yeah, that is a good
right?
point. Yes.
It's really, when we try to understand, okay, if we dissolve ourselves into the entire universe and feel omnipresent, and knowing that no matter what, we're still gonna merge. I mean, it's not even a matter of merging. We always are in the universe. So there's nowhere to go. I mean, you're not going somewhere. I mean, where are we going? When we leave the body, we're in the universe. So it's, when someone is doing good or not doing good, these are just conflicting
that is the whole thing, Shan. They look apparently conflicting. They are not conflicting. The Lord, whatever. It depends upon what level we are thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You are thinking the absolute level where you see nothing but God.
Right.
There is nothing. That is why that is a good, I can tell you a story how there is a monk who was going, Sri Ramakrishna said this, and then he was going, and then some ruffians beat him up. So just hit him for not to get some little things to steal. And he was unconscious. Then some of his friends, they happened, where is he? They were looking for him. They found him. Oh my God. And then they sprinkled water, and then they gave him some milk to drink, and helped him, nursed him, and recovered him. Then they asked him, what happened? Who hit you? The Lord hit me. Now, who is saving you? The Lord saving me. So he is at a stage, the person who is hitting, the person who is saving is the same Lord. So it doesn't make difference for him. Actually, there was another great saint, Sri Ramatirtha said, in Himalayas he saw when a big lion was he went into the home, Shivoham, Shivoham. Going in the mouth of a lion, he could say, I am that Shiva. So if you are on that stage, all this doesn't matter. You are beyond the dharma, adharma, such everything. But for us, when you're in the duality world, when you face it, you have to see what is good and what is bad. Ultimately, there is no good, bad. Like, for example, water, take it. So, sewage water is water. Ganges water are a good water. Why you want a pure water? Because your body can take that. If you take sewage water, you will get sick and you will may. But there are people, great saints, they can take sewage water or regular or nothing bothers them because they are at that stage. But when you still have that body consciousness, still when there is good and bad, you need to follow what is good and avoid bad. But when you are coming to the transcendental stage, when everything is divine, because it's easy to say, but really do you experience that? To that, like Ramakrishna again said. So there is a God in everything. Scorpion, lion, but the tiger. But those tiger God, you don't go and hug, it will eat you up. But tiger God, lion God, you salute from a distance. So similarly, when there is adharma, you do that. But when you can see the same divinity experience, there are people, nothing happens to them because they see that thing. It should be a question of experience. A lot of us have intellectual perception, but it should be a question of experience. Then it's no problem. But till that stage comes, all these things going against adharma, going against the bad, we need to practice that. That is very important. That's called practical Vedanta.
I'll just read a couple of questions from. First question. If for a man with impurities cannot see God, then how does a man with a pure heart see God?
Yeah, pure heart. That's what I said. Often quoted is Jesus, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And Swami said, when the whole purpose of spiritual practice is purity. Yeah, I give simple examples, like you have a mirror, you want to see your reflection, it is all covered with the dirt, you cannot see. So because that is impurities. You remove the dirt, you can see your reflection. Another example they gave is that of a lake. So in the lake, there are three things. One is why we can't see our reflection in the lake. Sometimes there's a lot of dirt is there because nowadays people don't keep it clean. And it's too much dirt, you cannot see your reflection. Or too many waves. So there are things you cannot see your reflection. Similarly, when your mind, too much dirt, all these negative qualities, desire, anger, greed, attachment, pride, you cannot see. Similarly, too much agitations, mind jumping here, there, they are like the waves. Then the reflection will be all distorted. So, sine qua non for the spiritual practices is purity of the heart. That is the most important thing. So, somebody may not be a great scholar, they are pure things like Sri Ramakrishna Paramsa. He never went to high school or college, but the great intellectual like Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar of those days, Keshav Chandra Vidyasen, and then Vivekananda, Brahmananda, all these are all highly intellectual people. They were at his feet. And same thing in the Shirdi time. Shirdi Baba didn't even go to school and anything, but those plays time, he had a great scholar, Kaparde, Dada Kel, all great scholars were Nana Sahib, Chandorkar, they were all serving. And with our Swami, you know that, right? Highly intellectual people, scientists, doctors, engineers. And Swami never went to college. So it is important is because they have the power of love. That is the most important. That is what is needed more than that. So that is why, because they are pure, and that when you have purity, you can manifest love. Yeah, what is the other question?
Second question. There is a chance of getting confused with, quote, doing one's duty versus leaving everything for God to do. How do we determine when to act and when to just be? When there is no physical Krishna to give direct commands, how do we know his command?
Okay, that is very important. So everybody, there is nothing like leave it to God. Everybody has to do his duty. This whole Bhagavad Gita, all the 18 chapters, is only his teaching about the duty. Do karmanyeva adhikaraste, like a commandment. You are bound to act. You have obligation to do your job. So he says, actually on one place he says, it's a great sin not to act. He says, Anaga, you will get the sin of not doing. And Lord Krishna himself says, in all the three worlds, Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nanavaptam avaptavyam vartamana cha karvani. In these three words, he says, I don't have any duty to do because we have a duty. You go to school, study, you get to finish college and get a job. You go to job because you want to have money to support the family. But he has no duty. He says, in 3 worlds, I have no obligation to do work. But still, I work to set an example. And our Swami is the greatest example. From the time till he left his body, always working. We get vacation. That's why I said in the organization, we can't have vacation. Swami said, whether he is in Puttaparthi, whether it's in Vrindavan, or whether he is in Kodaikanal, Ooty, wherever he goes, everybody says, if he doesn't come for one darshan, people go on complaining. So it is poor. My mother used to say, poor man, he has no rest. Morning darshan, evening darshan, taking the letters from people, answering their prayers. So the example, there is no retirement for God. He always is full-time work. So just you have to do your duty. That's number one answer. There is no choice. And second, Swami himself said, this is another formula. Yatna prayatnamul manava dharmamu jayapajayamulu daivadhinam. That means effort is dharma. That means our duty, our obligation is to do any work. That is not just duty, effort. Sincere effort. That means you work hard. You try one time, it didn't work. Give up. You cannot give up. Go on trying. Do the best. And then if it doesn't work, leave the rest in God's hands. But in the beginning, we need to do the best. So the duty we need to do with all sincerity and all intensity. But then you leave it to God. So Ramana Maharshi is the great Advaitin. He said, everything is determined by God. Why do we have to do all these things? He says, all the effort is to realize ultimately that effort is of no use. But you won't realize that till you put the best effort. Then that becomes your experience. Otherwise, it is an intellectual perception. Oh yeah, everything is done by God. But if really everything is done by God, you will accept everything as His gift. But the very fact we complain, oh, I should not have, that guy should not have hurt me, they didn't give me this chance, why this is happening, and no appreciation. That means the very fact that you are questioning, if everything is done by God, I accept everything with joyful acceptance. The very fact we grumble, that means you don't have that. You are telling it is God's will, but you don't have that conviction. If you have that conviction, you don't. Till we reach that stage, you have to do the sincere effort, all the thing, and then leave it to God, and then we'll realize that. That is the answer. So no choice. Till we leave the breath, we have to do that, continue working. That is why Lord Krishna says, so nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karmat. Just even for a moment, kshanamapi means that nobody can be without work. We shall all have to do that. Only time we don't work is when you left the breath, so you're dead. So there's you can't do that. Till then, as long as we are living, everybody has to, even this heartbeat which goes on, breathing which goes on, everything is always, there is action going on without our knowledge. So that is the thing. So anything else? Then yeah, I think probably we can, almost time is up, I think. Right? Anybody has any questions? If not, we can go 3-4 minutes there. So if you want to start bhajans, Chiranjeev will be happy to have more bhajans.
6 minutes.
Okay, you ask some questions, Chiranjeev.
Sairam, uncle, may I ask a question?
No, you can ask questions or make comments. That is why this is a study circle, not a class. This is where we have to have dialogue, like people ask questions, share what your feelings are, what your understanding of what Lord Krishna or Swami is telling. Please.
Will you please explain this statement? The fully ignorant and the fully wise both will have no grief over the living or the dead. Because I've always had the conception it's the fully wise that would not grieve. But then when Lord Krishna is referring to the fully ignorant.
Yeah, that is the funny thing. There are 3, it's like in the flight you are going, when it is plane is not moving, this is stationary, it is still. But in the plane is going the highest speed, it says 800 miles per hour or something, and they go on the plane, you don't think it is moving, right? It just looks still. So the highest speed and the lowest thing, they look alike. And similarly in the sound, the ultrasound, it is less than that or very highest sound, they look alike. The same thing in the light. So even in scholarly people, there are three things: tamasic, rajasic, and sattvic. Right? Tamasic is dull, inertia. They don't want to do any activity, like slothful, and they're sleepy and lazy. And rajasics always want to work and do this. Most of us are, particularly in the Western world. Sattvika, they are very tranquil, quiet, and good. That. But if you look at Tamasic and Sattvic, they look alike, because this guy is also looks like somebody says he's lazy, like when somebody asked Ramar Maharshi, you are just sitting one place doing like that. What are you achieving? Why don't you go and do the service? He is doing his self-inquiry. He says, how do you know I'm not doing anything? By thinking the powerful thoughts, my thoughts travel millions of miles, penetrate the caves, and transform people. But for a person, he is also sitting, and the guy who's lazy and not doing anything, they look alike. Because the ignorant, completely ignorant person, he doesn't even any thinking about what is, because they live almost like an animalistic level of thinking. They don't have any discrimination at all. What is real, what is unreal, what is the problem. So the better to be rajasic than tamasic, better to be sattvic. So the extremes always look alike. That is the way it is. Extremes, too much ignorant and real wise, they all look. That is the explanation Swami has given. So as he gave the example of the flight going the full speed, they look like they are not moving. So this is what it is. But we don't want to be slothful, ignorant, tamasic. We want to, by His grace, sattvic, and know the truth. Because person is the ignorant means they don't have any judgment. Somebody it doesn't bother them, because they are not aware of the facts at all. That is the way it is. Okay, so if you think, we'll conclude here and continue.